Hello everyone, it's Allie. Welcome to episode 3 of my Create This Book 3 series by Mariah Elizabeth. In today's video, I'm going to do 3 more prompts. And the first one is create bewilderment. Draw something completely ridiculous and pointless on this page. First, I took out my light blue paint and painted part of the background with it. Sadly, it did wrinkle the page a little bit, but I'll deal with the other side when I get to that prompt. I struggled quite a bit on coming up with an idea for this prompt. I had a lot of ideas, but none of them were that good. And thanks to my dad, I finally settled on this idea. After the background was painted, I took it aside and brought out extra sheets of paper and started sketching. I tried to keep my pencil lines very light so they could be easily erasable. After it was all sketched out, I took out my fine liners and I sketched out everything, which happened to be a bunch of broken pencils, because what is more pointless than a broken pencil? Yeah, the pun is kind of lame, but whatever. And once the outlining process was all done, I took out my alcohol markers and I started coloring in all the pencils. I had 7 pencils in total, but only 3 of them you could see half of. And all of my pencils were either dull or very broken, so either way, they were pointless. Next, I colored in the wooden part of the pencil with a light tan color, and I repeated that on all of the pencils that were showing their wooden parts. Wow, I'm really good at explaining things, obviously. Anyway, I moved on to coloring in the metal part that keeps the eraser attached to the pencil. There, I think my explaining skills are improving slightly. Anyway, I colored them in 2 shades of green, a dark green and a light green. And after I colored all of those, I moved on to coloring in the erasers. I colored them pink, trying to stick with the classic pencil look. And after I had colored in the erasers, then I moved on to trying to color in the weird jar that I have them in. I don't know if it looks like a jar, but I really tried my best. And then I moved on to coloring in the other one, which kind of looks like a pencil cup. I don't even know what I was going for here. It holds the pencils, so yeah. Next, I moved on to adding shading to all the little drawings before cutting them out. And that was not my best transition ever, but who cares? Next, I arranged all the little drawings around on the page before gluing them in. And after everything was all glued, I decided to take out my pencil and write out, "A broken pencil is pointless." And after I outlined the whole thing, I decided to add little random details all around the page because I thought it was missing something. I tried to color them in like a dark gray to hopefully make them look like they were doodles of some sort. And after that, this page was done. It's not my favorite out of any of these pages for sure, but let's move on to the next prompt. Create stained glass. Use only straight lines to make a design. Add color in the shapes created. So I took out 2 sheets of paper, and I really have to stop doing these transitions. Before I worked on the stained glass piece, I did use a ruler to make straight lines, but this is because I'm making a brick wall for the entire stained glass piece to look nice in front of. And then I outlined everything. I started coloring in the brick wall with my gray alcohol markers. I really didn't like how streaky it was looking, but I fixed it later. Next, I colored in all the plants and greenery poking out through the brick wall. And as I was peacefully coloring, my kitten decided to check up on me. Then I resumed to coloring. shading with my colored pencil to all of the bricks, it looked a lot better and less streaky. I also added lots of shading to all of my plants and the little cactus peeking up through the broken brick wall. And I really like how the colored pencil shading looks on top of the marker. I feel like it just added so much more detail to my artwork, and I'm really glad I made this decision rather than leaving the marker streaky. And after I added more detail with the colored pencils, I finally moved on to working on the stained glass wall. I added color pencil shading to all of it just like I did with the rest of the drawing before finally gluing it into the book. I really like how this prompt turned out, and now it's finally time to move on to the final prompt of the day. Create resistance. Draw something heavy on something light. So I took out 2 spare sheets of paper and I sketched and outlined my design. I drew a small turtle carrying a bunch of heavy boxes. I really didn't know what to do with this page either, and I'm glad I finally came up with this idea. I made it look like this turtle was moving into like a new home or something because I put a sold sign right next to a cave. And if you couldn't tell already, I decided to fill out all these prompts in this book in chronological order. Because I have Create This Book 1 and 2 that I still have yet to complete, and I did them out of order, I figured like this would be the best way for me to finally finish a prompt journal. And my goal is to finish this before 2025. I really hope I can make that happen, so I feel like doing one page after another would be the best way to go. But because this is only the 5th prompt in this book, I have a long way to go. Anyway, after it was all outlined, I decided to bring out my color and start coloring. I added 3 different colors to the terrain, and I thought it looked really cool. I added tan, a dark green, and then an in-between lime green color. And right now it does look streaky. I added more shading with colored pencils later, and it made it look so much better. I feel like that is my new favorite way to use color pencils and markers because it just looks so nice. Next I started coloring in the path, and I made it a lot darker so it didn't blend in with the terrain. Also colored in his cave, and then I started coloring in the little turtle. Honestly have no idea what to name this turtle, so if you have an idea for a name for him, please leave a comment below. After coloring in the shell of the turtle, I next worked on to coloring in the boxes. On some of the boxes, I added like a little shipping tag on the bottom, and on some of them, I added a little piece of tape on the top. Next, I colored the sold sign red, and then I colored in the sun. Once that was all done, I added lots of shading and colored pencils. I really like how I ended up doing the shading on the boxes, and it just looks so good. I had a lot of fun with this page, and once I thought of this idea, I was sold on it, and I'm really glad I turned my idea to life. Next, I shaded the road and all the terrain, and then I started shading the turtle, and I really think the shading helped make it come to life a lot. And finally, I made the sky blue using my colored pencils. I thought the background would be too big of an area for markers, so I just used my colored pencils for this. And finally, this page was done, and I glued it into the book. So here are how all the pages that I did today turned out. I hope you liked them and enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.